they should do whatever they have to do, would work with them, would make it great again, just like we're going to make our country great again. Under Kamala, we are rapidly approaching economic and social catastrophe. Most Americans are unaware that Harris and Biden have been shutting down entire swaths of our energy and electricity infrastructure without replacing it or even talking about it, leading to soaring electrical prices and energy prices, and also an energy shortfall like we've never had before. They're closing down things that shouldn't be closed down. This week, Harris officially banned drilling on 28 million acres of public lands. So what they did is, when they came in, what caused inflation, other than their spending, which was a big factor, but it's energy, because they came in and they wanted to terminate everything I was doing, and the prices were going through the roof for gasoline and everything. So they said, put it back, put it back. So it all came back, or most of it came back, maybe not to the same, but pretty close. They said, go back, you know, after the election. If they ever won, it's all gone. But what they don't say is, they'll say, oh, but we have the similar to Trump. And that's sort of true, but what they don't have is they don't have ANWR. They gave up ANWR, the biggest site anywhere in the world, in Alaska, that I got done. Ronald Reagan couldn't get it done. But really, most importantly, what they don't have is, we were going to be 4 to 5 times bigger by now. So when they say they had it back, they only had it back to where I was. We were going to have so much energy coming out of the ground, so much liquid gold. We were going to pay off debt. We were going to reduce your taxes further. I mean, we have more liquid gold than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia, and we were going to use it. And you know where we're getting a lot of our energy now? Venezuela, which isn't even, I mean, it's tar. You know that. It's tar. And you know where it's refined? There's only one plant in the entire world that can do it. It happens to be in Houston, Texas. So for like particles coming into the air, take a look at that mess. And we have clean, beautiful stuff. We have the best. We have the best, and we have the most, and we don't use it. We go to electric, or we go to something else. You almost say, do they hate our country? Because it's so incompetent. Do they hate our country? The first thing I will do to make middle-class life dramatically more affordable is to end Kamala's war on American energy, terminate her Green New Scam, and drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Right? Since Harris took office, more than 50 power plants have been shut down. Many of these were great plants, but they didn't like the way they were fueled up. You know, many of them are needed to create electricity. It's like, it comes from it starts from somewhere. It doesn't start from electricity. And by the way, just a little side note. So AI is a big deal. For us to compete successfully with China and others on AI, we're going to need twice the electricity that we currently produce. Can you believe that? We're not going to be even close. The only guy that can do that is a guy like me. I opened up plants. I opened up 2 plants in Louisiana that went through 14 years, LNG plants. They went through 14 years of approvals and were turned down. I got it done in 1 day. 1 day, we got it opened. Those owners, whoever they were actually, people are going to spend $16 billion. These are the biggest buildings, like the Empire State Building on its side times 3. The longest, biggest buildings you've ever seen. All they had is pipes inside. I said, what the hell kind of a building is this? But you know what? Billions of dollars. And they got turned down. I got it approved. And in one of them, 1 day, the owner or the head of the company couldn't believe it. He said, I got a call. I guarantee you a consultant somewhere that represented him. So I did a great job. I didn't speak to consultants. I just got it done. And now they're up and they're roaring and they're just fantastic. Under Kamala's radical power plant rule, issued by the EPA, all coal-fired power plants will be forced to close in the next few years. What are you going to do? Gutting more than 1/6 of the power, and really, we're going to go to a very weak form of producing power. We don't have energy that can power up those big, massive plants that we need, including the ones right here in Michigan. You don't have the energy. Wind is wonderful. If you like high cost, if you like having to replace the windmills every 9 years, you know, they wear out. And they're very intermittent, and they do kill a hell of a lot of birds. If you want to see a lot of dead birds, go to a windmill and just look underneath. You'll see birds all over the place. Same rule has frozen virtually all new investment in large natural gas projects, setting us up for a horrible shortage of at least 30% of our electrical grid capacity in the future. So we're going to have much less in the future. We're closing down all our plants. Just like trucks. They want you to make electric trucks. And the truckers come to see me. Sir, they don't work. One man had 29,000. He said, I started with nothing. I have 29,000 trucks. He said, I'd buy trucks, and every year they got better, they got more efficient, they got stronger, they got more beautiful. I started building apartments in the back of the cabs, right? You know what that is? He said, sir, you're rich, but you would have loved some of these apartments. I said, no, thanks, but that's okay. No, it's beautiful. This stuff is fantastic. We had 4 or 5 companies. I said, which one did the best? He said, they all do good, sir. But now they want us to go to electric trucks, and I'll have to stop 6 times on the way to California from New York, 6 times. And, sir, they weigh 2.5 times more than a gasoline or than a diesel-powered truck. I said, so what does that mean? He said, that means you're going to have to rebuild every bridge and every major roadway in the country just because of the weight. And they're very inefficient, and the battery is much bigger than the tank. And he was telling me the battery would take up at least half of the area right now that they use for hauling. I said, so when you tell people like that you'd have to rebuild every bridge in America, that you'd have to rebuild the roads, that the tank, that you have to stop 6 times from New York to California, he said, with a load of diesel, a good truck can go all the way and even start their way back. That's how good it is. And he said this, it was amazing because he said it right from the heart. He said, if they make us do this, I'll be out of business. We'll all be out of business. Your supply chain will be a disaster. But if they made us do this, every year that I bought a truck, it was better. They got better, better, better. We will have gone back 70 or 80 years. We'll have trucks that don't go far. We'll have trucks that don't work well. We'll have trucks that can carry a very small payload because of the size of the batteries and the weight. So I said, well, when you tell these officials this, what do they say? They say, we don't care. You're going all electric. So if you had a child, let's see, do we have any children? If you had a child, a beautiful boy in the green shirt, if you had just a little child saying, and he's not so little, he's a big boy, he's going to be a big one. But if you said to a child, it doesn't go far, it weighs too much, the payload's no good, and lots of other problems, and they're much more expensive, he would say, let's stay with diesel, right? These guys say, we don't care. Then they want to make our army tanks, you know, all electric. And the problem is they don't go far, they're the wrong torque. And you know where they want the battery? Because the battery's massive. They want you to, like you pull a wagon, a child pulls a wagon. They want to build a wagon at the back so it pulls the battery along. So they want to be environmentally friendly as we blast our way into a country that we hate, right? We want to take on these countries and be environmentally friendly. These people are deranged. They're deranged people. I will be the American energy president. I'll be a president for a lot. I'm going to be the automobile manufacturing president, too. You watch. And it won't even be hard. I can do it with a pen. Come in and build plants in the United States, preferably here. But come in and build your plants in the United States of America. And if you don't, you're not allowed to sell cars here. And we're going to tax you at 150 or 200%. I did that with steel. And people are going to flow in. And the head of your union, who's absolutely terrible, I mean, give him an IQ test. I mean, this guy doesn't know what is happening. He's horrible. Sean Fain. He's horrible. What a terrible job. He sold out the union. And they automatically endorse, you know, they automatically endorse Democrats for many, many years. But if you look at your car industry now and 25 years ago, it's like a different world. You've just, what you've lost is so bad. We can get it all back. We can get so much of it back because you're still the big market. And that's why we have to do it fast, because we have to remain the big market. The way we're going with this country, we're going to lose that. We're going to lose our currency values. We're going to lose the dollar standard. If we lose the dollar standard, that's like losing a war. If we don't have the dollar standard, we are a third world country. My goal will be to cut your energy costs in half within 12 months after taking office. So we can do that. If you have the oil supply, which we have more than anybody, Your heating and air conditioning, electricity, gasoline, all can be cut down in half. Your gasoline, I had it down to $1.87. I had moments when it was much lower than that. To achieve this rapid reduction in energy costs, national emergency to allow us to dramatically increase energy production, generation, and supply, which Comrade Kamala has destroyed. She's destroyed it. Starting on day one, I will approve new drilling, new pipelines, new refineries, new power plants, new reactors, and we will slash the red tape. We will get the job done. We will create more electricity also for these new industries that can only function with massive electricity, and we'll get it done. And nobody else is even going to come close. They won't even try. And if they did try, nothing would happen. Under President Trump, America's future will be energy abundance, energy independence, and soon we will be energy dominant. We're going to be dominant, much more so than Russia. You know, we started off number 3. By the time I left, we were number 1 by a lot, and we were going to be doubling and tripling them up. The cutting of ANWR was a shame. Ronald Reagan tried to get it. He couldn't get it. Every president, they all tried to get ANWR. In Alaska, I got it. They think the size of Alaska in terms of what's under there. And in the first week in office, he terminated it. I got it all done. They were all started drilling. Took them a year and a half. They got everything perfect. They were all starting in Alaska to drill. And what a shame that is. ANWR could have been maybe the biggest site in the world, but we're going to get it back. It'll be back very quickly, I promise you that. Because I know the roadmap. I know that roadmap very well. People said, I can't believe you got ANWR. Ronald Reagan couldn't get, nobody could get it. And it was easier then, because now you have the environmental stuff at levels that, you know, nobody's ever seen before. Much of it to stop us from making progress. I will also stop Chinese-owned electric vehicle battery companies from coming to Michigan and stealing our intellectual property, our workers' knowledge, and then sending it back to communist China. We're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let that happen. Every part of Comrade Kamala's economic plan looks like it was written for her by the Chinese Communist Party. It actually looks much of her. Now, in all fairness, she did an interview today. She didn't want to go in alone. How do you think President Xi's going to do with it? Oh, he's just savoring it. So she went in with this vice president guy that nobody ever heard of, and she did an interview with a very friendly reporter. We'll see. Maybe the friendly reporter, not friendly to a lot of other people. She was very fair to me, Dana Bash, very fair to me in the debate. We had the debate with Sleepy Joe. She was very fair, and Jake Tapper was very fair. You know, I respect. I don't call him Fake Tapper anymore. I may have to start eventually, but no. But I thought they were very fair. I just said neutral. Could you be neutral? Would that be okay? And they were. They were pretty neutral. And but Dana Bash is interviewing Kamala, and people just want to see if she can get through the interview. Nobody knows what's going on. I've done so many interviews in the last couple of months. Every time I go out, I have an interview. I have people, reporters, and we talk to them. And they ask me every question in the book, and we answer them. And you don't see any scandals brewing, nothing. We answer them properly. You have to, as president, you have to be able to deal. You're dealing with the toughest, smartest, most ruthless people in the world. If you can't do an interview, we got the wrong person. To get more relief to working-class citizens and seniors on fixed incomes, we will have no tax on tips, and we will have no tax on Social Security benefits. Right? And I did it 4 years. I didn't touch your Social Security, and they're going to end up adding a lot of years. I know, because I know people in that party, too. They're going to add 5 years, 6 years on. We're not going to add any years on. They're going to add, and they're going to destroy Social Security and Medicare because they have all these millions of people coming into the country. They want to make them citizens, and they want them to get onto Social Security, Medicare, and other plans. And that's going to be very destructive. It's going to destroy Social Security. In addition, as part of our efforts to help working families, I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women, IVF treatment. Because we want more babies, to put it very nicely. And for this same reason, we will also allow new parents to deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes, so that parents that have a beautiful baby will be able. So we're pro-family. Nobody's ever said that before. But the IVF treatments are expensive. It's very hard for many people to do it and to get it. But I've been in favor of IVF right from the beginning. You know, if you talk to them, they'll say, oh, he really doesn't like, they have ads like I'm against it. It's just the opposite. By comparison, they're against it, but I'm totally in favor of it. But we're going to do what I just said. We're going to pay for it, and it'll help families, because a lot of families can't use it. And a lot of these same families have been hurt so badly by their inflation. They caused the inflation, and we are going to pay for the IVF treatments, fertilization. They're going to pay for it. We're going to take care of it. And another key driver of inflation is the migrant invasion Kamala Harris has created on our southern border, which is causing immense inflationary pressure on housing and essential goods. There's never been anything like coming into our country. Border czar Harris, now she's saying, I was never named the border czar. Yes, she was. But we don't have to just say she was in charge of the border. We don't have to call her a czar. She wasn't really a czar. I think a czar is a compliment. Border czar Harris will import millions more illegal aliens and give them free housing and groceries, and I will send the illegal aliens back home where they belong. We have no choice. We have no choice. It's not like we cannot afford this. You know, if they got in 4 years, you'd have over 100 million people from all over the world. And remember this, crime rates are going down in all these countries because they're sending us their criminals, they're sending us their drug dealers, they're sending us their people that are in jails. And I don't have to go and crazy, but that's common sense. I would do the same thing. If I was running some nice country in South America or all over the world, the Congo in Africa, 22 people came out of jail recently. They sent them here. Where do you come from? Congo. Oh, that's nice. Where are you from in the Congo? Jail. Oh. What did you do? We don't want to say. You can imagine. Let me just tell you. Welcome. They're your citizens. And they're doing this all over the world. Tom Homan told me that, who's great, by the way. He's really great. Brandon Judd, all these guys, Paul, all these guys, they're incredible people. But the Border Patrol people are incredible, what they put up with from these incompetent lunatics that don't even talk to them. They said, we have, as of last week this year, 169 countries represented by people coming illegally into our country. 100. Most people don't even know you have that many countries. You know, some of those countries, we don't even know the language is a different language. We don't have anybody in our country that even speaks it. But they're pouring in, and many of them are the worst people in those countries, and their crime rates are going way down. In Venezuela, their crime rate has gone plummeted because they're sending their killers. And if you saw that skit today, it was a skit. I thought it was, well, I've seen it all. I guess I didn't really think too much about it other than how bad it is. In Venezuela, did you see the gang of Venezuelans today? They took over a building. They literally took over the building, walked in with machine guns, gang members from Venezuela. You haven't seen even the beginning of this migrant crime. We're going to have a migrant crime. And just remember, you know, they have a hat. It said Trump was right about everything. And I have to say, I pretty much was right about everything. You're going to see, unfortunately, I wish I wasn't. I wish I wasn't. And be careful with World War III. I don't want to be right about that. And I'm not going to say, but I will tell you, we're close. October 7th would have never happened because Iran was broke with me. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for Hamas. Russia would have never, ever attacked Ukraine. We would have had no inflation. You wouldn't have had that horrible, embarrassing mess, that horrible, horrible mess in Afghanistan. So many things. This country would be a totally different country now. And I will end deadly sanctuary cities in the state of Michigan and all across the country. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants them. So just sort of in concluding, here's what we know about Comrade Kamala Harris. She just doesn't care about the American people, especially hardworking people or middle-class Americans. She just doesn't give a damn about you. She does not care about the deaths, sex slavery, drugs, or criminals coming across our border. She's been vice president for almost 4 years, and she did nothing to stop the invasion of our country. She says that that's not her job, but it is her job. The President of the United States gave her that job. She just didn't do it, and she won't do it now. She does not care about the middle class struggling over inflation, the cost of gasoline, electricity, and she doesn't care about the cost of food. She does not care if you lose your job or cannot find another comparable job. She doesn't care. She does not care if you have to run up your credit card to levels that are unsustainable. She does not care if you and your family are struggling, and she did absolutely nothing to fix it. She's the vice president. She just does not care. She does not care about women's rights because she supported destroying women's sports and athletic scholarships. She wants men to play in women's sports. She's one of the leaders. Men should play in women's sports. You know, she's far further left than Bernie Sanders. Think of it. Nobody wanted Bernie Sanders to be president. She's much further left than Bernie Sanders, rated #1. She makes Pocahontas look like a conservative. Do you know who Pocahontas is? Yes, Elizabeth Warren. She said her mother said that she had high cheekbones and therefore she's an Indian. No, I don't think so. Actually, that's a very racist statement that she said, isn't it? If I ever said that, that would be trouble. No, she said, my mother said I was Indian because I had high cheekbones. And then she put down on every application that she's an Indian, getting jobs all over the place. But we knocked her out of the presidential race pretty good, too. That's Pocahontas. They said, we want you to apologize to Pocahontas for using that term. I said, I will do that. People were shocked because I don't give up too easy. And I did apologize to Pocahontas, the real Pocahontas. I said, Pocahontas, I'm sorry I got you tied up with this person, this crazy person. Sorry, Pocahontas. I'm sorry, Pocahontas. But Elizabeth Warren is not nearly as radical left as this person, Kamala. But nobody knows Kamala because she doesn't do anything. She does not care about protecting little children from sex change operations because she chose Tampon Tim as her running mate, who believes the state, not mothers and fathers, should have the final say on sex change operations for their children. Do you know that? The state's allowed to decide whether or not they're going to do a sex change operation on their children. Kamala Harris wants to outlaw your car and truck and force you to buy electric vehicles, whether you like it or not. She couldn't care less. And you can't afford to do that because, again, they don't go far, but they're much more expensive. She does not care how it impacts you and your family. Kamala Harris does not care about senior citizens because she believes illegal aliens should receive Social Security and Medicare, which she knows will bankrupt those insurance programs, making it impossible for you to receive your pension and your health care, which you paid for your entire life. You've been paying for it. People are going to take it away. Those people that are coming in, remember, they're living in luxury hotels, and our veterans are dying on the street. You know that. They're dying on the streets under the hotels. You have pictures last night, veterans dying on the street, and other citizens, but veterans dying on the street. And inside the hotel, nice and high in nice rooms, the government's paying a fortune to keep illegal aliens that came into our country, many of them criminals. There's something wrong with the thought process. She wants to destroy your private health care, even if you like it, even if your employer contributes to it. And she wants Washington, D.C. to make your medical decisions. She wants Washington to decide what procedures, medicines, and care you should receive. Whether you like it or whether you don't, she doesn't care. Kamala Harris has had nearly 4 years to show us who she is. She is an uncaring politician with a radical ideology. She is a Marxist, just like her father. Despite her campaign of lies and flip-flops, we know who Kamala Harris is. She's the greatest flip-flopper of all time. She's copying every policy of Trump. Well, let's make her MAGA. I don't think so. Does anybody want to make Kamala MAGA? I don't think so. We'll send her a red hat without MAGA on it. We know by her actions, and we know by her inaction. We know she does not care about working people, about the middle class, about the American citizen. She does not respect you. Ask the families of the 13 incredible service member heroes who died during the surrender of Afghanistan, which was surrendered by Kamala and Sleepy Joe, whether or not Kamala Harris cares about our young people and our military. Those incredible parents and sisters and brothers, they asked me to go yesterday to Arlington, and I did. And while I was there for a long time. It was very tough to get to because I was not in a good position to get there. It was very far away, but I did. I made it and I got there right on time. And I spent a lot of time there. And while I was there, those families that asked me to be there, they said, 3 families plus 1 soldier who was horrifically injured, both legs and an arm. And they asked me if I would be there, so I went. And while we were there, they said, could you take pictures over the grave of my son, my sister, my brother? Would you take pictures with us, sir? I said, absolutely, I did. And then I said farewell. I said goodbye. And last night I read that I was using the site to politic, that I used it to politic. This all comes out of Washington, just like all of these prosecutors come out of Washington. They all come out. They send their prosecutors into the DA's office. They send them into the Attorney General's office. These are bad people we're dealing with. So I go there. They ask me to have a picture, and they say I was campaigning. I don't need – the one thing I get is plenty of publicity. I don't need that. I don't need the publicity. But these are great people, and when you think about it, Joe Biden killed their children by incompetence. Should have never happened. Kamala killed their children, just as though they had a gun in their hand, by gross incompetence. And not one general or incompetent bureaucrat was fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And then they accused me of having a picture taken at the tombstone with a family because they love the president. They love me, and I love them. I got to know them. Ask the cops in the street trying to protect you from murderers and rapists and thugs if Kamala Harris cares about law-abiding citizens. Remember to fund the police. Ask the families of women raped and murdered by illegal aliens and the teenagers cut to shreds by gangs from El Salvador and Venezuela if Kamala Harris cares about you. She destroyed San Francisco. Harris has opposed school choice for poor inner-city kids. She has opposed police in schools to protect our children. She has defended stocking school library shelves with filthy graphic books, horrible books. She refused to prosecute pedophiles who molested children when she was DA and AG in California. Does this sound like someone who cares about your children? Kamala Harris has failed you. She has failed totally as Vice President of the United States. She's been a total failure. Nobody even knows who she is. She's broken trust with you. She's done nothing for the middle class, nothing for working families, and she's done absolutely nothing for hardworking people. Your eyes don't lie. You see it. You know it. We all see it. She's the sitting Vice President of the United States, and yet nobody knows who the hell she is. She does not give a damn about you. This is the real Kamala Harris, and now she wants to get a promotion. Did the worst job. All she had to do is take care of the border. That would be okay. Just take care of the border. She couldn't even do that. She never even went there. She went to a location that you'd like to go to have dinner with your family. She never even went to the border effectively. Think of it. Never spoke to anybody. All of those great border agents, did you ever speak to her? No, nobody ever spoke to her. Well, I'm here to not give her a promotion. I'm here to give her a demotion. Because she can hide, she can lie through her surrogates and the corrupt media, and they are very corrupt, remember that? But the truth is coming out, and it will come out. The American people are smart. They are not to be manipulated by Hollywood, the fake news media, and advertising. And as you deserve, a president who respects you, talks to you, and who levels with you, puts it right on the level, and who always has your best interests and has your back. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body. All of us today are part of the greatest political movement in the history of our country. This is the greatest movement in the history of our country. We did something that we really broke them up. This was getting bad. We broke them up. They're not happy about it. They're nasty. But this is the greatest MAGA, Make America Great Again, the greatest movement in the history of our country. You know, outside, they won't ever report this. They never report it. Outside, you have thousands and thousands of people that couldn't get in. They don't get seats like you guys. They didn't get the seats that you got, believe me. But you have thousands and thousands of people outside, as far as the eye could see, as we're driving up. We deliver taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, and low inflation so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, a home. We will stop immediately the horrific invasion, end migrant crime, support our police, build a missile defense shield all around our country like other countries have. We make them here. It'll all be made right here, and it'll be made also in Michigan, a lot of it. But we're going to have... And Ronald Reagan wanted that many years ago, but the truth is, at that point, we didn't have the technology. Now we have great technology. You see that other countries have it. We don't have it. We're going to have the best of all. We're going to have a missile defense system going to be built in the United States, installed all over and around our country. We're going to restore peace through strength, which is what I did. We had no wars when Donald Trump was president. Now we have nothing but wars. Prime Minister Viktor Orban of Hungary, he said the reason that the world is a mess because Trump is no longer president. When Trump was president, they were afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term, but he did. He said they were afraid. China was afraid. Putin was afraid. I stopped Putin's pipeline in Europe. I'm sorry, Vladimir. I can't let you do it. I stopped it. It was stopped cold. And then when Biden got in, the first day he approved it. Then they said Trump was weak on Russia. Putin said, if you're weak on us, I'd hate like hell to see if you're strong on us. But the war would have never happened, would have never, ever happened. But Viktor Orban said, you bring back Trump, and the whole world is going to be a safer place. We're going to keep critical race theory and transgender insanity out of our schools. We're going to keep men out of women's sports. And we're going to return our society based on merit, which the Supreme Court has given us the right to do, based on merit. We're going to go back to a merit system. If you're good at something, that's what you get. The Supreme Court approved that. That was courageous. We will defend the Second Amendment. We're going to do something that I think is very important. We're going to restore free speech, and we will really, truly restore. We're going to fix our elections so that our elections are going to be honorable and honest, and people leave and they know their vote is counted. We are going to have free and fair elections, and ideally we go to paper ballots, same-day voting, proof of citizenship, very big, and voter ID. Very simple, very simple. One-day voting, one day. You ever see these things? You know, everyone's talking about November 5th, but forget November 5th. It starts on September 6th in various states, North Carolina, but various states, Delaware. It starts on November 6th. Goes months and months voting. Why are those boxes being moved around? Why are those ballots being moved? Why are they not there? Sir, we're fixing the air conditioning of that particular room. It is so bad. It is so out of control. Everyone under President Trump will prosper. Every family will thrive. And Michigan manufacturing will dominate like never before. You're going to dominate like never before. But for that to happen this election day, you must tell Comrade Kamala, Comrade You're doing a horrible job. You've been a terrible vice president, a horrible, horrible border czar. You're not a border czar. You're a border patsy. You were played by every country in the world. The worst job we've ever seen, probably the worst vice president we've ever had. He certainly was the worst president. Comrade Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's amazing they can have support. I don't get it. Who would support somebody that wants open borders? Who would support somebody that wants men in women's sports? You see the boxing in the Olympics? Two transitioned people. They transitioned from men to women, did you see? Fighting a young